What's up guys, it's Smitty back with another NBA video. Today, we're going to be making an NBA Trios tier list. I made this tier list template on the tier maker site, and there will be a link in the description for y'all to click to get to this site so you guys can make your own tier list. But before we get into this video, it would be awesome if you could check to see if you're subscribed to my YouTube channel. It's 100% free, takes 1 second to do, and it really helps my channel grow. This tier list took me a couple hours to make, and as always, the editing and recording of every video takes another few hours to make. With all of this time I'm spending, I would really appreciate it if you guys would show the support and click that subscribe button. According to YouTube statistics, only a small percentage of my viewers are actually subscribed, so every one of you is much appreciated. Also, if you happen to enjoy this video, feel free to leave a like, as it lets me know if y'all want more content like this. Thank you guys so much for the support. Enjoy, y'all. At the bottom, I have the frowny face with a semicolon and a bracket. This is for the trios that are just completely underwhelming and need a lot of work in order to be a contender into the playoffs. The next tier we have is the decent tier. This is for any trio that can hold their own in the NBA, but there's still a decent amount of doubt with them. The next tier we have is the good tier. This is for any trio that can definitely hold their own in the NBA and are going to be able to take their team to playoff considerations. The next tier we have is the elite tier. This is all of the playoff lock trios. These trios are really good, and they can definitely even contend for a championship if they have the right supporting cast around them. And the next tier we have is the goated tier. These are trios that will compete for a championship regardless of their supporting cast. These trios are the very best of the best and could even be considered as an all-time great trio. Starting, we have the Atlanta Hawks, featuring Trae Young, Clint Capella, and John Collins. This trio is pretty good. Trae Young is one of the best young talents in the NBA, but unfortunately, his two other sidekicks, Clint Capella and John Collins, don't quite stack up as a good second and third option in the NBA, but regardless, I gotta put him in the decent tier. These dudes have a decent future. Trae Young, John Collins are pretty young. Clint Capella, he's a solid vet. The Hawks have a chance to make the playoffs this season in the East. Next we have the Toronto Raptors trio, featuring Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, and of course Kyle Lowry. This squad is pretty damn good. We all know that these guys competed for a championship with Kawhi. Even though Kawhi is not on the roster anymore, Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet have gotten better. Even though Pascal Siakam has struggled a lot at the start of the season, he's picking it up, and he's been much better as of late. And of course, Kyle Lowry, he's always been that dude. He was the leader on that championship squad, even though Kawhi was obviously the best player. But yeah, this Toronto Raptors trio is legit, and every team should watch out for them. They have the heart. Next trio we have is the Washington Wizards trio, featuring Bradley Beal, Russell Westbrook, and you can literally insert any third player. I have Rui Hachimura, considering he's their best young prospect. If Thomas Bryant wasn't injured, I'd probably put in him. But yeah, Rui fits the mold right now. This squad is going to go in the good tier. These guys are pretty good. I know they've been underachieving. They're one of the worst records in the NBA, but they have Bradley Beal, who's leading the league in scoring, Russell Westbrook, who's an absolute dog, and Rui is actually a pretty good young talent. I believe he made second team all-rookie last year. Rui is going to be a productive NBA player one day. He needs to work on his defense, but his scoring ability, he has that natural scoring gift that very few people come across. But regardless, this squad is definitely in the good tier. I think that they're doing so poorly because of the supporting cast around them and their team's lack of defense. But if you put this NBA trio on a decent squad behind them, they're without a doubt a playoff lock. But next, we have the New York Knicks trio, featuring Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, and Mitchell Robinson. I was going to put this trio in the bottom tier, but I will give them credit. They are in a playoff spot right now, so for those reasons, I'm going to put them in the decent tier. Julius Randle is a horrible first option. I know he has been playing his role pretty good. He's averaging over 20 points per game, I believe, and around 10 rebounds, but that's probably due to the production rate that he's having on this team because he is the dude. I feel like Julius Randle may be a legit third option on the championship team. Not quite sure. We haven't seen much of him. RJ Barrett, he's been a little underwhelming considering he was the number 3 overall pick behind Zion and Ja, but I do really like RJ. He's a knack for scoring. If he can get his shooting percentages up, he's going to be legit. He has the NBA body, just needs those shooting percentages to come up. Mitchell Robinson, not much to say. He's a rotational piece, but he's definitely the third option on that squad. Next, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers trio with Colin Sexton, Andre Drummond, and Darius Garland. These guys have been disappointing. They're going in the disappointing tier because of that. They're one of the worst records in the league. They had a hot start, but they definitely weren't sustainable for the full season. Colin Sexton's a pretty good talent. Same with Darius Garland. But Andre Drummond, I'm not quite a fan of him. I feel like he's more of a stat filler type of player. He can definitely grab rebounds, but I don't even know if he could be a third option on a championship team. Definitely not a second option. So for those reasons, they're in the disappointing tier. Next, we have the Chicago Bulls trio featuring Zach LaVine, Kobe White, and Lauri Markkanen. I know Lauri Markkanen's out right now, but these guys are going in the decent tier. And that's solely based off Zach LaVine, one of the top scorers in the NBA. He should make the All-Star game. I think he should be a lock in the All-Star game. Hopefully he doesn't get robbed like Beal did last year, but without Zach LaVine, this would be arguably the worst trio in the NBA. But yeah, Zach LaVine definitely carries this trio. Next, we have the Phoenix Suns trio featuring Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and DeAndre Ayton. These guys are going in the good tier. We all know what these guys can do. Devin Booker could be the next James Harden. He needs to get his shooting percentages up, but I think that you can definitely run your offense through this guy similar to James Harden on the Rockets. Then CP3, we all know what he can do. All-time great leadership, great passer, and a pretty good scorer. And then we have DeAndre Ayton. He's still coming into his own, but he's going to be one of those top centers in the NBA. He already is a top 10 center. I feel like he could definitely be a top 5 center in a couple years. Next, we have the Los Angeles Lakers trio, which is LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and you could insert like Kyle Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, any of those guys, but I have Dennis Schroeder, and these guys are going in the GOATed tier. You could literally put the worst basketball player in the world alongside LeBron and AD, and they're still competing for a championship. This trio, yeah, you can literally put them with anyone, and they're going to be one of the top dogs. So for that reason, they're in the GOATed tier. Next, we have the Utah Jazz trio featuring Don, Mike Conley, and Rudy Gobert. This trio was borderline elite, also considering that their record is, I think, the best in the NBA, but I just can't quite do it. They are lacking a little bit of talent, and I don't think Mike Conley is a great third option. He's a good fourth option, but third option, he's aging. I'm not quite sure. Also, considering Don is your best player, isn't quite elite, but these guys have been playing very good. I will give them props to that. They're one of the best teams in the good tier. Next, we have the Los Angeles Clippers trio featuring Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and I have Serge Ibaka. I think he's probably the third best player on that squad. And I have these guys in the elite tier solidly. Almost as good as LeBron and AD, Kawhi and Paul George are a very legit duo. And putting Serge Ibaka, he's not a bad third option. These guys are one of the best teams in the elite tier, I'd think. They're borderline goated, but not quite. Just considering that Kawhi and LeBron, not quite the same. Paul George and AD, not quite the same. But these guys are legit, and they're going to be competing for a championship this year. Next, we have the Milwaukee Bucks trio with Giannis, Jrue Holiday, and Chris Middleton. These guys are without a doubt in the elite tier. They could be goated, honestly, because they have a very well-rounded trio. Giannis is one of the best players in the league. You could argue he's top 3. I don't think so, but you could argue that. Jrue Holiday, he's a star, not quite all-star. And then Chris Middleton, he's an all-star caliber player. These guys are definitely elite, maybe in the GOATed tier, but I don't quite have them there. Next, we have the Blazers trio with Dame, CJ, and I have Nurkic even though he's injured. You could substitute. I don't even know who you'd substitute over Nurkic. But when healthy, this is their trio. And I have them solidly in the good tier. Dame is one of the best point guards in the NBA, top 10 NBA player. CJ had a really hot start to the season. Unfortunately, he's injured right now. But if CJ comes back somewhat, maybe 90% of what he was before, he's an elite second option. And then Nurkic, he is pretty underwhelming. He had a bad start to the season. He's injured. He's kind of an underwhelming third option, but regardless, CJ and Dame, they belong in the good tier. Next, we have the San Antonio Spurs trio with DeMar, LaMarcus Aldridge, and I have DeJounte Murray. This trio is pretty decent. I'm going to put him in the decent tier, considering that the Spurs, I believe, are the 6th or 7th seed in the West right now, and that is impressive, especially in the West. They might make the playoffs this year, and I am liking what I see in San Antonio. Next, we have the Denver Nuggets trio with Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, and I have Michael Porter Jr. These guys, it's really close for me. I want to put them in the elite tier, but I just can't quite. I'm going to put them in the good tier, and that's only because Jamal Murray's been underperforming and that their record isn't quite that good. I think Michael Porter Jr. is a legit third option. He needs more playing time, though. I don't know what Coach Malone's doing. I think he's really limiting Michael Porter Jr.'s star power. But Jamal Murray, he is a legit second option. But the thing is, he hasn't been performing to what we saw in the bubble. I don't think we expected to see exactly that, but at least like 23, 24 points per game. He hasn't been doing that. Nikola Jokic, though, he's arguably the best center in the league. It's really close. But yeah, this trio is definitely in the good tier. Borderline elite. I'd like to see Jamal Murray step it up, though. Next, we have the Golden State Warriors trio of Steph Curry, Kelly Oubre, and Andrew Wiggins. I was going to put Draymond, but I couldn't choose who to take out. It would probably be Kelly, because Draymond has been playing really good lately, but the fact that he barely scores any points, he gets a decent amount of assists and plays good D, but the fact that he's only averaging a few points per game, I don't think he can be regarded as the third option on the squad. He's more of the glue man. But I have these guys in the good tier. Steph Curry, best point guard in the NBA. You have Kelly Oubre and Andrew Wiggins, both pretty solid foundational players. I say that Andrew Wiggins and Kelly Oubre are both decent third options. So they kind of do balance out Steph's elite point guard level. But yeah, these guys are solid in the good tier. Next, we have the Memphis Grizzlies trio with Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Jonas Valanciunas. These guys are going in the decent tier. I don't think the Grizzlies have been playing that great. Jaren Jackson Jr. is out, though. Valanciunas has been playing good, I know. Ja Morant's had some injuries or COVID protocols. He's been out. But these guys are definitely in the decent tier. They have a lot of potential. Ja Morant and Triple J, they got potential through the roof. I do like this trio. They aren't quite certified in the good tier. If I was going to put them in the good tier, I'd have to put the Hawks trio up there, and I just don't think I can do that. Next, we have the Dallas Mavericks trio with Luka Doncic, Kristaps Porzingis, and of course, Josh Richardson. These guys are going to go in the good tier. They should be in the elite tier, but due to their record right now, I don't think you can justify it. The talent is 100% there. Luka Doncic, he's that dude, like certified top 10 player, maybe even like top 8, top 7. And Kristaps Porzingis, when healthy and when all cylinders are firing, he's a legit top 3 center. I don't think people give him enough credit when he's playing good defense, when he's knocking down those threes. This is a hard trio to stop. And Josh Richardson, he has been playing really bad this season. I believe he's coming off an injury or something. But he could definitely be a fourth option on a championship contender. Not quite a third, but regardless, this trio is borderline elite. I just can't quite put him there because of the record. Next, we have the Sacramento Kings trio, and they're going in the disappointing tier. De'Aaron Fox is a pretty good young talent. I don't think he's good enough to be the number one option on a playoff team, but regardless, Buddy Hield has been underperforming, and Tyrese Halliburton has been a diamond in the rough for the squad. He was a great pickup, one of the best picks in the draft, but I just don't think they have enough firepower to even be decent. Maybe in a couple years they could maybe move up to the good tier if these guys keep progressing, but for now I don't think Sacramento has enough firepower. Next we have the New Orleans Pelicans trio with Zion, Brandon Ingram, and Lonzo Ball. This is a really hard one for me to rank, but I'm going to put them in the good tier. They're borderline decent, but I put them up over the Hawks and the Grizzlies because of the fact that their top two guys significantly outweigh the Hawks and the Grizzlies' top two guys. Brandon Ingram is actually one of the best scorers in the NBA. He's reminiscent of a young Kevin Durant. And Zion Williamson, we all know what he can do when healthy. He's an absolute beast. Those two guys are almost an elite duo. And Lonzo Ball, I feel like he might get traded, but he's a legit fourth option on a team, maybe not quite a third. So you have an almost elite duo and a somewhat decent third option. They belong in the good tier. Next, we have the Houston Rockets trio with Christian Wood, John Wall, and Victor Oladipo. I got these guys in decent. If John Wall came back to his old self and Victor Oladipo picked it up and Christian Wood wasn't injured, they could maybe even be in the elite tier. But unfortunately, that hasn't been the case. John Wall hasn't came back how we thought. Christian Wood right now is injured. And Victor Oladipo has been very disappointing. I feel like this trio is not going to last for long. There's going to be some trades happening. But yeah, I have him in the decent tier for now. Next, we have the OKC Thunder trio with Shea, Lou Dort, and Al Horford. They're going in the disappointing tier. And I do feel bad for you OKC fans. You guys are going to be rebuilding for a few years. But I think it is necessary. Sam Presti knows what he's doing. They're going to get some good draft picks. But yeah, the OKC Thunder aren't even trying. They're basically tanking. But Shea is a bright talent. Horford and Lou Dort, though, not viable second and third options. Next, we have the Indiana Pacers trio with Domantas Sabonis, Miles Turner, and Malcolm Brogdon. These guys are going in the good tier. The Pacers are always a solid playoff contender. Sabonis is a legit all-star. I think people got to put more respect on his name. Miles Turner has picked it up this season, and so has Malcolm Brogdon. Unfortunately, TJ Warren got injured, I believe indefinitely for the season, but this trio has definitely picked it up with their production rising. They've definitely handled it well, and the Pacers always slip under the dust, and then next thing you know, they're a top 5 seed in the East, and no one even noticed it. But these guys are very underrated. They belong in the good tier. Next, we have the Minnesota Timberwolves trio. This may be very controversial, but I'm going to put these guys in the good tier. And I know they have one of the worst records in the NBA, but that's been due to Karl Anthony Towns being out. If we really look at this duo, Karl Anthony Towns is a top 3 center in the NBA. I think that's consensus. He's probably third behind Jokic and Embiid. But yeah, Karl Anthony Towns is that dude. He does struggle on defense sometimes, but offensively, he's probably the best center in the NBA, just offensively. Then we have D'Angelo Russell. He's maybe not a legit second option, probably a legit third option, but regardless, D'Lo has a lot of potential as well. And Anthony Edwards, the number overall pick, hasn't quite lived up to expectations, but he is definitely a very solid pickup for them this year. But yeah, especially if we're looking at how young this trio is, they have so much potential in the future. If these guys keep progressing, they could definitely be an elite trio in a couple of years. Next, we have the Boston Celtics trio with Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Kemba. I have them in elite. They're borderline goated, but the thing that's holding them back is Kemba Walker. If Kemba was playing how he was in Charlotte, oh man, this is a goated trio without a doubt. Because Jason Tatum is a legit number 1 option. He's been showing that. Jaylen Brown is a legit second option. And Kemba Walker just isn't quite a legit third option. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't think he's a great ceiling raiser. He's more of a floor raising player. And that's really holding them back from being a goated trio. Next, we have the Brooklyn Nets trio. This is iconic. They're going in the goated tier. This tier list was basically made for these 3. Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving. arguably the best trio of all time. I wouldn't say that. There have been some really good trios in the past, but these guys are up there. Next, we have the Philadelphia 76ers trio with Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, and Tobias Harris. These guys are in the elite tier. I don't think anyone's going to argue with that. The Philadelphia 76ers have one of the best records in the NBA, if not the best. And Joel Embiid has been an MVP candidate. Ben Simmons has actually picked up his game this year. He's elite on defense also. And Tobias Harris has actually been taking the last shot for the squad, and he's been hitting some daggers, honestly. I think this trio is pretty well-rounded, considering they have a great big man in Joel Embiid, a great defender in Ben Simmons and Embiid, and Tobias Harris can hit that last shot for them. Next, we have the Orlando Magic trio in Nikola Vucevic, Aaron Gordon, and Evan Fournier. These guys are going in decent. They're borderline disappointing, but the only reason why I have them in decent is because of Vucevic. If it weren't for Vucevic, they'd be the worst trio in the NBA, but they have him, and Vucevic is a legit all-star. He puts up big-time numbers. He's pretty efficient also, considering his production rates. And yeah, I got them in decent. If you put them in disappointing tier, I'm not mad at you at all. I totally understand it. Their record hasn't even been showing it, but these guys have a small chance to be in the play-in tournament. Next, we have the Charlotte Hornets trio with LaMelo, Terry Rozier, and Gordon Hayward. You could put Devontae Graham in here, but he really hasn't been playing good this year. And I put LaMelo as kind of the face of the team because he is. Even though Gordon Hayward may be the highest production player, LaMelo Ball is the face of the franchise now. And I have to put them in decent. They're borderline disappointing, but their record has been very surprising this year. These guys have actually been accounting to wins, and for those reasons, I have to put them in decent. I believe they're the 6th or 7th seed in the East right now, and they're legit. They're probably going to make the playoffs at this rate. Next, we have the Detroit Pistons trio with Jeremy Grant, Blake Griffin, Josh Jackson. They're going in the disappointing tier. I think everyone agrees on that. I'm sorry, Pistons fans, but this trio just doesn't stack up. Jeremy Grant has been a great acquisition for you guys, but he's definitely nowhere near the number one option on a playoff team. Maybe number 2 on a playoff team if you had an elite superstar above him. Josh Jackson, he's had a pretty bad NBA career so far. A lot of wasted potential there. And Blake Griffin, he's coming off the injury. Everyone thought he was going to be a pseudo all-star level player, but he just hasn't been. He's more of a rotational player these days. And regardless, all 3 of these guys fall short of their role. And finally, we have the Miami Heat trio, featuring Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and of course, Tyler Hero. You could put Goran Dragic as the 3rd option, but I put Tyler Hero just because he's iconic. I have these guys in the good tier. If their record was better, I would put them in the elite tier, but they just haven't been accounting to wins, and for that reason, they're in the good tier. You gotta love Jimmy, gotta love Bam, gotta love Tyler. Very few people I know don't like this trio. I think they're regarded as one of the most likable trios in the NBA. But yeah, guys, that's it for now. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I post all sorts of basketball related content on this channel. And also, if you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like. It lets me know that you guys like this sort of content. And yeah, also there'll be a link in the description for this tier list for y'all to make your own. I'd love to see what you guys put together. Anyways, this is Smitty, signing off.